Mr. Williams.
Yes, the public needs to know I have a deep concern for businesses in Monroeville. We need to remember that our taxes, our borough taxes are low because of the businesses we have in Monroeville. So I suggest whenever possible, shop our Monroeville businesses. I have some other concerns. Let me start with the Monroeville Mall, and I have a couple flyers here. Maybe, let's see if I can get that on there. Well, I'll just read it to you. Transforming abandoned malls with apartments, hotels, and more. And then some of the other malls, Amazon, a mall operator, look at turning Sears, J.C. Penney's, and other stores into fulfillment centers, which are supplying a need to people. As they make orders, they put these orders together and send them out. Monroeville Mall and other large complexes is a concern. Thinking of the U.S. Steel Research Center, Coppers and University Park, Jarnett Plaza, Miracle Mile Shopping Center, and other large complexes. I believe these should be changed to mixed-use properties. Then they can incorporate schools, medical offices, senior and apartment living, gyms, grocery stores, hotels, and many other things. This brings me to the comprehensive zoning ordinance. We've been working on this probably to 10 to 12 years. Back when I was on a planning commission, we worked on it for 2.5 years. At this time, we need to get it done. So I am making a motion to council direct the manager to fast track the comprehensive zoning ordinance so we can get it done.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to fast track this comprehensive zoning ordinance. If I could just speak on this in one moment. So yes, Mr. Williams, this has been worked on quite a bit. He brought up some great points. And yes, I believe that our zoning ordinance could definitely be improved to allow some more flexibility for some of these developments and to be more modernized. I'm not sure if, and maybe this is a question for Mr. Little. I know I spoke with Mr. Ratcher about this in the past. If this is something that we should do internally to move forward, or if our ordinance is at the status where we should actually have a consultant come in and do this. So, well, Mr. Little.
Yeah, well, obviously for the sake of time, I mean, having an outside consultant do it would expedite it, but that obviously costs money. We are at the, I don't know if we're at the tail end of it, but I know this ordinance was at the Planning Commission level in 2013. And it has lied fallow for that long, obviously because you begin doing daily work, and long-range projects like that, they take time. But Mr. Williams is correct. And so he has talked to me the last 2 months on this issue. We had our initial meeting with Mr. Ratcher, me, Mr. Hugas, and Mr. Wilden, our planner and zoning officer. And what we have decided to do is Paul Wilden is going to be working on certain sections, and then we're going to get together each month. And we're going to, it has to go back to the Planning Commission because it's been too much time that it hasn't been in front of them. Then it has to go to Allegheny County Planning, and it has to be approved there. And then once all that is done, it'll get in council's hands. That's going to take a little bit of time, but just for the sake of saving money, I would say we do it in-house unless council thinks otherwise.
Well, if it was done as a consultant, do we have any idea, a guesstimate on what kind of money we're talking about? And also, too, is there an advantage to outsourcing it to a consultant group that does this on a national basis? I mean, obviously, our staff is very capable of doing these things, but is their time spent better somewhere else within the municipality? So.
Mr. Wilden has been working on this, though. That's what he was doing the whole time for the last months, Mr. Little, correct?
Yeah, when we had our one Zoom meeting back in April, the question came up about this project, Paul Wilden doing this project when things were shut down. Things have obviously cropped back up again with building permits, with zoning issues, and things of that nature. And he has worked on it during that time, back in April and May, when the municipal building was closed down. We weren't getting any building permits. Zoning issues and plans weren't coming in like we had one plan we approved this evening. But he is working on it now in a piecemeal fashion.
And and also with the winter coming up, won't that kind of probably free him up a little
Sure.
bit more to continue working? So maybe
Sure.
we could look at this again. I don't really want to go and spend more money on another consultant when we have someone in-house that is currently working on it.
Sure.
It's my opinion.
No, it's good. Mr. Ratcher, do you have any comments on this? Is there any value in from the outside? I mean, what are your advice?
I think there's always value in having somebody look at it from outside. Let me say this, we just put it sort of back on the front burner with our meeting with him. And one of the things we're going to be doing is looking through it and going sort of section by section, whatever. So we probably ought to stay on that track for now and then decide down the road if we feel comfortable with it.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's very simple. We move forward how we're moving, but I mean, to stress Mr. Williams' concern, what I don't want to see, and I would hope the council would agree with me, that we don't want this to just come to a standstill.
No way.
Just because of manpower issues and we can't get it done. But
Agreed.
perhaps move forward.
I have a question for you too, Mayor. So in reference to Bob's, motion and whatnot too, but I'm a little personally uncomfortable understanding the status of where we are between those two. I don't know that there's enough information I've seen personally, and it could be my fault, but seen enough information that can, make a recommendation. Hey, we're this far. We need someone to help us get us over the edge, finish, over the finish line with it. Or are we progressing internally, so in a sufficient manner to be able to continue to handle the problem? I feel like I need a status update of this, and I'm not sure that.
Well, my answer to that, Eric, would be exactly what Bob said, is that let's move ahead here and let's have a few meetings with the four of us. And if we get to a point where we're saying, hey, maybe we do need somebody outside. I don't think we're at that point right now.
Okay.
We may be. I'm not saying we won't, but as Linda pointed out, the winter's coming up. Maybe things will die down a little bit on that. And I cited some issues that I thought, and one of them is exactly what Bob just mentioned with respect to mixed use development. We talked about the medical overlay that was put into it on Moss Side Boulevard, and also I talked about the updated comprehensive plan that we have to continue working with Wilkinson Churchill on, and also the active transportation plan that has to be incorporated. We were talking about sidewalks before on Old William Penn Highway and bike trails on different roads that can handle it. We were talking about that, and that's been adopted in the active transportation, and some of that should be incorporated into the zoning ordinance. So those things have to be looked at. Mr. Wilden is quite capable of doing it, and time is always the factor, but I agree with Bob. Let's move ahead with a couple meetings and see where we are.
So what I'm hearing is we're not ready for a motion.
In last part of my planning commission experience, 2.5 years, we worked on this with the help of Mr. Muller. And we was only, I think, a few months away from sending it to the county. And it was just put on hold from them for 8 years. And it's just time to put it on fast track and put a little pressure on it.
I think we're doing that right now as we stand at this meeting. So let's have the staff move forward on it. But to Mr. Poach's question, I mean, I think everyone agrees that we want to get it moving, and if the council wants to act on that motion.
Mr. Mayor, may I?
Go ahead.
No, the reason Bob and I have talked about this on several occasions, and the only reason why he put that out and I seconded it is it so don't get pushed aside. Doesn't mean it has to get done tomorrow, but let's just don't let it get shoved up in a closet somewhere as it has. And not like, no offense to Mr. Weldon. He's doing a great job. We just don't want that to get lost in translation, if you will.
It won't get lost. We're gonna have a meeting at the minimum once a month. It's not more than that. And we're gonna move ahead with it. And we'll see if we need some outside help to expedite things. I'll let you know.
I can't imagine.
Bob.
Wait, should we not withdraw the motion? Should we
Wait.
not withdraw some kind of, withdraw a motion on a fast track? Shouldn't this just be?
I don't think
Where?
I don't think
Before
it
we
could be
make
a
a
big
motion,
deal.
I would like to ask Tim to time bomb this and get an idea, the drop dead date, so we can get this going, because if
Can't give a date.
we keep having meetings, nothing really gets accomplished after a certain amount of meetings. So if you say December 31st, we'll on it in January 21, that's a great idea. If we're going to keep pushing this down the road, we need to know when we're going to act on this thing.
We're asking for status updates like every couple months. Is that what you want, Tom?
What I will do.
Actually, Linda, no, thank you. But what I'd like to see is, for somebody to say, okay, December 31st, 2020, all right, this is what we would like to do. In the January meeting of 2021, we put it on the agenda and we vote for it and get it moving.
I think that might be a difficult ask with all the different parts that are involved with staff.
Transportation plan and the comprehensive
Well,
plan.
like Bob said, how many years ago did you start this? 11 years?
About 12 years ago.
Yeah, and you're right. It did get shelved, but now we're bringing it to the forward. Why don't we? There's a motion and a second to get this moving on a fast track. I know it's a very broad
Okay.
comment.
Okay.
So I'm just going to say, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed to that? So the ayes have it. And what I'll suggest is, Mr. Little, either next month's meeting, just give us a brief update of, yes, you're moving forward. No, you're not. We caught a snag. We didn't. And just kind of keep us in the loop. And then Mr.
Right.
Williams will actually hold you accountable as well. If you want to bring it up in your reports moving forward as well, just to ask about it too. And
Yeah.
I think everyone, I'm hearing the same thing from everybody, that everybody wants to see it moving forward. And we just have to make sure it's done the best way, whether we can do it in-house and save some money. And Mr. Wielden is certainly capable. But if we need some extra help to get this done, I agree with Mr. Williams. I believe it's extremely important for us to revisit the zoning ordinance and get it updated. So if we have to visit it at budget time to work it in a consultant for next year, then we do it. So the motion stands.
Good.
Mr. Williams, do you have any other comments for this evening?
No, I just thank you for the talking about it and in tune with it and realizing that Monroeville business is a big part of Monroeville. That's because our taxes are low, and we could just work with the school district and get their taxes down. The people would be in line to move into Monroeville. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams.